I fly not to survive. I fly so that others might.
Germany, July 1944. The skies over Europe had changed. Allied bombers flew almost daily over German cities. But on July 25, 1944, the Luftwaffe unleashed a phantom, screaming over the horizon at over 500 miles per hour. Pilots in the bombers barely saw it coming. Lieutenant George Ramsey, a waist gunner.
I thought it was a comet, just a blur, and then fire. Our right wing was gone.
The Messerschmitt Me 262, the world's first operational jet fighter, tore through a formation of American B-17, downing several before vanishing into the clouds. The Allies were stunned. The air war had been one of attrition. But now, the rules had changed. Jet propulsion gave the Germans an edge that could cripple the Allied bombing campaign. Field Marshal Albert Kesselring pressed for more production. But Hitler, obsessed with vengeance weapons, ordered the Me-262s to be converted into bombers. A fatal delay. Meanwhile, Allied high command scrambled for answers. Could they stop a fighter that outran everything in the air? Western Allied air groups began to report silver streaks, ripping through bomber squadrons with ghost-like precision. Me-262s dove in from high altitude, fired their deadly 30mm cannons, and escaped before escorts could react. Captain Harold Hawk Mitchell, P-51 Mustang ace. They'd appear out of nowhere. You'd blink, and two bombers were spiraling down in flames. The P-51s tried everything. Altitude traps, coordinated dives. But the Me-262 was fast. Too fast. At nearly 540 miles per hour, it outran the Mustang by over 100 miles per hour.
They could dance in the sky, but they had to come home sometime.
Still, the jets had a weakness. Their engines, delicate, temperamental. Takeoff and landing were their most vulnerable moments. Pilots were ordered to target them on the runway. RAF flight leader Douglas Fairweather. That led to dangerous new missions. Airfield interdictions, where Allied fighters risked everything to catch jets on takeoff or landing. The skies over Lechfeld and Munich-Riem became slaughterhouses. For every jet downed, more rose. And still, Germany clung to hope that this technological marvel might turn the tide. Autumn 1944, Bavaria. A new squadron was formed, JG-7 Nowotny, the world's first jet fighter wing. Named after Walter Nowotny, a Luftwaffe ace who claimed over 250 kills. He believed in the Me-262, but even legends fall.
I fly not to survive. I fly so that others might.
His squadron launched from Achmer and Heseby, climbing into freezing skies to intercept B-17 bombers. Engines roared, contrails tangled above the Reich, and aerial duels blazed in clouds streaked with smoke and fire. In 1 week, they destroyed over 30 B-17 bombers' aircraft. But the cost was steep. Technical failures, fuel shortages, and Allied strafing runs devastated their numbers. On November 8, 1944, Nowotny's Me-262 stalled during takeoff. Struggling to regain control, he fought, but P-51 spotted the Messerschmitt Me 262 fighter jet. A deadly chase began. Outnumbered and outgunned, Nowotny went down in flames. His death shattered the myth of invincibility.
I didn't know his name till after. He flew like a ghost. It wasn't war. It was a funeral in the sky.
Yet JG-7 fought on, and every mission they flew was a warning to the Allies. The jet age had truly begun. Deep in the Bavarian forests, Allied commandos huddled inside a makeshift tent as rain pattered on canvas. Maps were spread across a crate, red lines circling hidden targets. Operation Crossbow's new objective was ruthless and precise. Annihilate the Me-262 production plants and obliterate the jet fuel depots feeding Hitler's secret weapon. Every factory, airstrip, and rail hub tied to jet deployment was marked for destruction. Royal Air Force Lancasters and USAAF Liberators roared over Augsburg and Regensburg, unleashing thousands of tons of bombs that turned factories into blazing infernos. But Germany concealed jet production facilities and fuel stores deep underground, carving tunnels and caverns to protect them from Allied bombing. Enter the French resistance. Armed with courage and crude maps, they sabotaged rail lines and fuel convoys.
Every jet that flew meant more bombers dead. We had no weapons, but we had fire, oil, and wire cutters.
They paid dearly. Many were captured, tortured, executed. But their efforts slowed the jet rollout by weeks. Meanwhile, German engineers, brilliant but desperate, watched as jet parts arrived late or damaged. Dr. Hans Mertens, propulsion specialist.
The skies belong to those who can feed the engines. Ours starve.
Sabotage became salvation. Resistance fighters infiltrated factories, delaying jet production with silent defiance. The Me-262s were swift, but they couldn't outrun the slow, inevitable collapse of the crumbling Reich. As Berlin burned and the Rhine fell, Messerschmitt Me 262 fighter Jet S were thrown into hopeless missions. Messerschmitt Me 262 fighter Jet S jet pilots were ordered to intercept B-17 bombers, even as fuel reserves vanished. Ground crews scavenged parts from destroyed jets. Oberleutnant Franz Schall took off from Parchim Airfield, knowing it might be his last flight.
If I die today, let it be with purpose.
His Me-262 dived through the clouds, found a B-17 formation, and unleashed a devastating burst. One B-17 bomber erupted in flames and spiraled down. Then the P-51s came. A dance of death ensued. Schall's jet outsped them. But not forever. His right engine flamed. He bailed. Allied pilots watched, stunned.
We hated the jets. But that pilot, he fought like hell. I almost saluted him.
The Luftwaffe's last hope was burning itself alive. The jets couldn't change the outcome. The war was already lost. But they fought on, not for victory, but for survival, honor, and belief in a fading dream. As the Third Reich crumbled, the Me-262 became a symbol of brilliance born too late. Its pilots fought ghosts in the sky, brave, desperate, defiant. When the engines fell silent, only smoke remained. The jet age had begun, but for Germany's aces, it ended in fire. As the Third Reich crumbled, Allied and Soviet engineers seized intact Me-262s, astonished by their design. These captured jets became blueprints for a new era, inspiring the USAAF's Bell X-1, the Soviet MiG-15, and a global race that transformed warfare, flight, and the boundaries of human speed. The Allies and Soviets rushed to study them. The USAAF's Bell X-1 and MiG-15 would owe their speed to what began in Germany.
We feared them, then we flew them, and suddenly we dreamed bigger.
In the ashes of Germany's defeat, the Me-262 stood as both miracle and monument. The first breath of a new age born amid the ruins of the old. It was a machine years ahead of its time, forged by desperation, flown by men who knew their sky was dying. Across shattered airfields, Allied engineers combed through wreckage, stunned by the technology they found. Jet engines, swept wings, radar guidance. The blueprint of tomorrow lay in the rubble of yesterday. What began as Hitler's last gamble became the foundation of every jet that followed. But for the men who flew them first, Nowotny, Schall, Galland, Their legacy was written not in victory, but in velocity. They were pioneers trapped in tragedy, visionaries bound to a dying empire. When their engines went silent, a new sound filled the world, the roar of the jet age, and it never stopped.